So just to start the meeting, if I can just read the disclaimer. Just to note that this meeting is being recorded and will be uploaded to the Biddulph Town Council YouTube page. The aim is that decision making should be transparent and in the public domain, which will involve more of our local community in democracy. By being in this council chamber, you are consenting to being recorded and for your image to be added to YouTube. The images and sound may be used for training purposes. Any views expressed are the speaker's own and do not necessarily reflect the views of Biddulph Town Council. Please view the guidance on recording in public meetings policy if you need more information on that. So welcome to the Town and Community Committee meeting on Tuesday, 17th of October at 6:30 in the Council Chamber. First item on the agenda is to look for apologies received.
Thank you. It's Councillors Harper, Hopkins, Kaziki and Proud.
Just this item isn't on the agenda, but just to ask for the consideration of members of this committee to approve an emergency item to confidential at the end of the meeting, which concerns the Citizens Advice Bureau, and just due to it being possibly commercial interest in nature, to put it into confidential at the end, if everyone's okay with that. Have a show of hands just for that. Thank you very much. So item 29, declarations of interest. Does anyone have any disclosable pecuniary interests or dispensations for anything on the agenda this evening, or any other interests? Item 30, minutes. To sign the minutes of the Town and Community meeting held on the 19th of September, which has already been before Town Council, if I'm okay to sign that.
Please.
Yeah, show of hands. Yep. And to receive the notes from the Environment and Climate Change Working Group meeting held on the 14th of September 23.
Yes. Move them past them, please. Oh, sorry, on climate, sorry. I know, I wasn't on that particular one, sorry. The last one, sorry, was on the one we do.
Yes, move those, please. Second move.
I was the one before that, sorry.
Is everyone happy to accept those? Thank you very much. And to receive the notes from the Young People's Working Group meeting held on the 18th of September. Is anyone else that was in the, I chaired the meeting, was anyone else? Is everyone happy to receive those? And to receive the notes from the Biddulph Works Together meeting held on the 27th of September. Again, I chaired that meeting. Is anyone else in attendance that can use those?
I want. What's on the 27th?
That's
On that, so the one I've been to you.
You were there, Councillor Salt.
Yeah.
Everyone happy to accept those, receive those notes? And just to note that the Health and Wellbeing Group planned for 28th of September was not 4/8, but it did meet yesterday, I believe. So we don't have the notes from that one just yet. And to receive the notes from the Christmas Events Working Group held on the 2nd of October.
With those, move those.
With those. Okay. Everyone happy to receive? So following on from that one, item 31, to receive an update on Christmas events and activities.
Thank you. We might tag team this a little bit if that's all right, Chair. So I can confirm that we have booked Santa, that conversation with regards to his availability. That's fine. Tune Sound are providing live radio and music. The market has done very well, so that will be at the top end of the High Street as usual, high stores.
Well, currently we've got a waiting list.
Oh, we've got a waiting list currently. It's an unusual position to be in, but a lovely position nonetheless. Various dance and drama groups are on the steps.
I can, Chair. If we've got a waiting list, can we not bring more stalls in? Can we not fit them in physically, not fit them in?
Maybe. Dance and drama groups are booked for steps. We've had discussions with the fair about how much rides will cost and the availability at the event. And we've been working on quite a number of free activities. So they're obviously not free to us. We are paying for the activities and the prizes and that sort of thing. But they will be free to the people who attend them. So we've got a kind of lucky bag. Do you want to?
So the lady who came last year, Alison, she provides either a lucky dip for and sort of glitter tattoos, things like that. And then we spoke to Louise at the rate. She's coming up with something for us to do there. She normally comes with a craft project that people can take part in. And then we spoke about having some tabletop football for children to come and have a go at, and that's all ages, so they can provide a little step if you're smaller. There's 4 tables and you can compete against one another and you can competitions.
So he brings his own gazebo, and as a working group, we were a little bit concerned that sometimes the market is one end and maybe there aren't enough rides to fill the gap in between, but he's quite comfortable filling that gap in between. So he brings his own gazebo, he's got these 4 tabletop football setups. He's quite used to dealing with young people, maybe young adults who are quite exuberant, possibly, with their tabletop football. In terms of the cost for these things, we make, as last year, we make a £200 allocation for the kind of lucky dips and tattoos, and also for the craft. The tabletop football is £800. He's there from half 4 till we're done. Basically, he'll stay all evening for that. He's got his own insurance, his own setup, and provides a nice activity. They are within budget for the Christmas lights activities, and as I say, there's no cost to any of that for the people who play. They just come and do free stuff.
Councillor Garvey, do you want to?
No, I was
question?
no, I was asked a question earlier about whether or not we can expand the market, and I wouldn't make the comment. I mean, it was a deliberate choice to try and do the same as we did last year with free to the public events because of the ongoing cost of living issue.
Is it a possibility to increase the capacity for the market stalls?
It could be. It depends. Fine. Okay. So there's another update on this actually, which we're at that time of year again where we go and ask the district council for some money for our markets, and historically they've allocated us £2,000 for that. What we'd like to do this year is to buy some more gazebos, so it's a bit dependent on, are you happy for me to ask the district council for the usual allocation with regards to markets? That's obviously quite a lot less than is provided to other markets across the district.
Yes,
But it does enable us to increase our provision. So we could buy think out the gazebos that we have are the kind of industrial gazebos. They're about £600 each. Some extra weights, and what else do you need? Tables. So if we can ask them for that and get the funding in, then we can definitely provide more setup.
Would I also just add to that, is it possible to include any of the cost for storage, just going on to what we were talking about last time, storage of market things?
What, ask the
And the
district
money
for
that we get from district?
more.
As an aside.
And Chair, in the context of the funding and the development going into the redevelopment of the leak markets, then I think it would be quite reasonable for Biddulph to ask for an increased allocation to support their markets or their activities and events, popular markets can. Because I say it's, I would think it would be reasonable in the context of money that's being spent in other parts of the district by the district council. Do we need to put a proposal to that?
When is the usual time that you have to ask for that funding?
Well, it can be
Imminently?
any time, really. We usually ask for it around now, so that we can get things bought before the end of the year. I don't know who the portfolio holder is at the district. It might be having them on board.
Councillor Salt, sorry, you were first before.
Thank you. So 3 things now. The glitter tattoos, please, can it be environmentally friendly, non-microplastic glitter? That's in line with our objectives, to make sure we haven't got all the microplastics going down the plug holes and all that sort of jazz. That's the first thing. The second thing about the rides, I think I read in the minutes that, or the notes from the working group, that you said £2.50 stroke £3. I still think that's a big ask for some families, and I wondered whether, as part of perhaps Fiddle Works Together group, if you could do a little kind of laminated token, and then agencies that work with families that are hard up would give 1 token per child per family, so at least they've got a free ride, and we could give that back to Warwick's. I don't know if we've got enough budget for that potentially. You know, 1 ride per family that's hard up that agencies know about might be helpful. And then the third thing is, I think we can call it markets, because although we can't have a market on a Saturday because of the thing over in Cheshire and Congleton, it's still a market. And I think if we call it events and activities, I think that might end up in a different kind of loop. It's a market. We want stuff for markets, and therefore I do think that we ask Statutory District Council for a larger allocation than we have done in the past. The worst they can say is no, but if we don't ask, we don't get to. So that's the 3 things I can say. Thank you.
Could we possibly ask Councillor Swindlehurst to come in to discuss our aspirations as far as our markets and an increasing budget?
Yeah, or I can email him if he's not available. Could ask that comment. Is he the right? Is he the portfolio?
He's leisure and tourism.
You know that Councillor Swindlehurst is coming to see you in a couple of weeks, because he told me yesterday.
Really?
Well, he's coming. I'm meeting him, but he says, but it gives me a chance to see Sarah as well. So there you go.
Oh, that's
Sarah can sit in it.
Sarah gets him in.
Councillor Yates.
Yes, I think as regards the markets are concerned, there's a couple of approaches. There's usual approach to officers effectively on the political side. I think Councillor Garvey here could write a particularly well-worded question to resources, which would raise it at the tandem officer and political level. And I think we've got opportunities to expand what we want to do with promoting the high street and with the shared prosperity fund. And I think it's important that we get multiple applications into the shared prosperity fund, which I know we're working on. But this is an ideal way of actually, especially if we can sort the storage out, this is an ideal way of expanding our range of equipment to run events on which support the economy and the high street. And I think that's extremely important. That's exactly what the shared prosperity fund is.
Anyone got any more questions related more specifically to the Christmas events and activities?
If it's all right, Chair, so you're happy with the free, albeit check the glitter stuff, but we're happy with those as free activities, the football. We're trying to think of something that would be good for boys, actually, because there's a lot of, glitter, and not that boys don't want glitter, but you know what I mean, something that was a bit more suitable for potentially young men. So you're happy with the costs of those, and happy for me to ask for money from the district to support the purchase of additional items and to lobby potentially for more. So and I'll obviously come back and bring that to the committee for further discussion. But
Ride tokens, do we need a vote on that, or can we?
I think we just ask the question: can he facilitate that on his rides? If we'd got something that we made and agreed, and then what would he charge us? I suppose it's to ask those questions, isn't it?
So Jackson.
Just thinking about timing, if we want these new gazebos before the switch on. We need to be able to say to Sarah, we can all, town council can authorise Sarah to purchase them and get the money in later, because I can't see the decision being made in time to actually order them and get them in time for, I'm saying as a backstop, if that decision isn't forthcoming quickly, that the town council authorises Sarah to purchase three gazebos.
And there's no finance committee, is there, this?
No, not till the end of November,
So that's quite, are
Are
we
you-
able to authorise it through town council?
You're allowed to spend 500, aren't you?
Yeah.
Three times that.
Perhaps if I,
800 each.
if I have some discussions with the chair, and then we obviously put that on the town council to approve. We always, I mean, there aren't a vast number of organisations that do sell these things. Two organisations that sell these, so we'll obviously get the best price based on those discussions, and then if we have some discussions about that, and then that's town council. That's all right with everyone. Yes, good, thank you.
Okay, so item number 32, to receive an update on heritage and restoration projects.
Okay, so thank you. So there's two ongoing projects at the moment. I have asked the Lanksman to lay a concrete base for the installation of the trough on Overton Road. And as I understand it, we'll be able to move forward with that end of November time. So I'll be able to update you a bit more on that. There's lots of discussions going on about types of mortar and lime and all that sort of stuff to make sure it's in keeping with what's necessary. As far as the Station Road, the Gillow Heath platform is concerned, that's the other pot of money that we had an allocation for from the Moorlands Partnership. So we've done as we said that we would. We've installed extra bricks along the edge of the platform. I haven't been able to get confirmation from the district that we can purchase and install benches in that area or the interpretation board, but that's gone on the list to the district council of things that are outstanding in terms of licenses and permission and that kind of thing. So when the Moorlands Partnership Board meets in the next week or next few weeks perhaps, I won't be able to say that we've concluded that project. We've sent an invoice for the half of the installation of the new edging, but in terms of the other things that we were asked to do, I can't move that forward until the district gives permission for us to install those things, because that bit is there. So I'm hopeful that before the end of the year we'll have finished the Overton Road trough, and I'll advise the Moorlands Partnership Board about that. Well, actually, it goes on to the next one. I won't go on to that too much, but I haven't, I'm asked regularly to give an update to the Moorlands Partnership Board, and as a matter of courtesy, I give that to you first. The real sticking point is, as being on a number of projects, is getting the right permissions from the district.
Absolutely.
On this committee, but a question, Sarah, have we moved any, is there more information on the mining blocks on St John's Road?
Not yet.
I've got to understand there's a bit of pressure on getting it moved and stuff, though.
Not yet. We just need to arrange a site visit.
I see that's project's been passed and we just got to go ahead with the contract, haven't we? Mine's lamps.
Yeah, but he wants a site visit, doesn't he?
Yeah. But
That's what we need to
Yeah.
do.
Well,
okay.
So that's a lot.
I can go back to the Gillow Heath station side. Did not Councillor Kosicki raise a suggestion that there should be some information boards and the like to tell people about the background to the site?
Yeah.
And are those included somewhere in the plan?
If I may, yes, absolutely. We referred to them as interpretation boards, but yeah, that's exactly what they are. So I think a picture of what the station used to look like, some information about who used the line and that kind of thing. Obviously through the grant we would pay for those, and we'd be responsible for the installation, but it's not our land, so I just need a license to install that. But yeah, that's the plan.
Absolutely.
Just a question in that case, is there anything that the Biddle District Councillors can do to accelerate this process in terms of getting out of district?
It's been a flurry of activity.
Right, if that map is already in hand, then
Councillor Yates.
Oh, yes.
good.
There's been a flurry of activity.
I think I heard that.
Okay, so
We've doubled down on it.
item 33, to receive an update on the Station Road Art project. Pass back to the Chief Officer.
Thank you. So just quite a quick one on this. We need to, obviously we paid for Philip Hardacre to do design work for us, and we need to make a decision about starting on that project. I have emailed both the Moorlands Property Board and the Shared Prosperity team with the project and suggested that it might be a nice project for both of those. So I am awaiting an outcome with regards to funding for that. I think from previous discussions, we'd said that we wanted to move forward with it, but I'm not sure whether the town council was happy to move forward with the project, irrespective of whether there was additional funding or whether we were dependent on getting funds from elsewhere. So I just want to be really clear about that. And then I can be clear with Philip and he can plan in the work as well.
So I would propose that we go ahead with the work and hope that we get some funding to contribute to it. But let's be clear, if we don't go ahead with the work, it's been 8 years and we've got 2 concrete circles and a load of mud. It needs to be sorted out. Yeah, and in terms of actual town council money that's been spent down there, I think we talked about the figures where it's less than £10,000.
Yeah.
So in actual fact, to make that place a nice space with a feature that celebrates the history of all Biddle industry, I think we move with it. It'll certainly be a talking point. I think it'll be a bit like Marmite. Some people in the community will love it. Some people will say, what on earth is this? But he's got a locally quite a renowned reputation. He's done this work certainly all over Stoke-on-Trent. It will engage our young people, which I think is a really important point. And certainly the last council before new members came, it was agreed that we move forward with that. So my proposal here today is we move forward with the project and we hope to recoup some money. But if we don't, it brings that area together. It brings closure to that. We cannot have it going on for another 4 years. We're just going round and round in circles. That'd be my proposal, Chair.
You have a second for Kill's proposal.
I think it's previously been discussed and it was approved at that point, so I think we should progress it, but obviously the Chief Officer to consider her endeavours to find supporting funding from elsewhere.
Just to add as well, I think my understanding of the project is that it's comprised of all the tiles, and those would need to be completed before the actual bench could be constructed. So if we were looking to do this as soon as possible, the actual tiles could be done over the winter period, ready for it to be done in the spring.
Yeah, I believe there was a broader plan to incorporate something within the spur road, which I noticed the county, as they don't own it, haven't resurfaced, and it's sticking out like a sore thumb at this moment in time of roughness. So can we revisit the broader plan for the whole area and see if we can actually come to a complete conclusion on that space? Otherwise, it's something which we're going to be perennially revisiting, because I think the plans predate my time on the council on what happened. So I think it's beyond time that we actually either finished it off or revised, but either way concluded that the whole project down there, and then perhaps we can step back and actually something we can be proud of, because its position is quite iconic in front of the Methodist Chapel.
Would we suggest one of Sarah's slideshows for the benefit of newer councillors as well?
I think we've had one.
On the whole
scheme. Do you want a whole scheme slide?
Yes, I think it would be good.
Yeah.
That is ultimately a conclusion. It'd be nice to actually plan for the conclusion.
Because we are discussing something that was originally discussed more than 2 terms ago, like before I was a councillor. So I think it would be interesting to see.
There are councillors who've come and gone from this council in the time that has has been advocated, and I know Councillor McLaughlin was particularly vociferous about trying to get that piece of spur road filled in, properly surfaced, in order that we could make appropriate use of the whole area, because at the moment it's quite literally a car park.
Councillor Jackson.
Yeah, we certainly don't want to pour cold water on it in pushing us forward, but that's been, I've got in the back of my mind somewhere that this council passed a resolution that no work would go down there until proper CCTV was put in place. Now, I'm not saying that should hold any of this up, but it was certainly, I remember it being sort of said, or something along those lines, but perhaps Sarah perhaps need to have a check back what was said and whether it still stands or.
Just bringing Councillor Yates in the side.
Yeah, in some respects, I don't disagree at all with what Councillor Jackson said, but surely that is part of the scheme of works to conclude the whole area. So, you know, that's just a sort of sequencing thing, but I totally, utterly agree that it was actually said because of the antisocial behaviour and vandalism which had been suffered down there. It was said, you know, let's get CCTV down there, let's make sure we control it and whatever. But that doesn't stop the overall package being planned to conclusion, of which that becomes an integral part of that plan to conclusion. Otherwise, we get nowhere.
Just thinking you might just put in a fire.
No, absolutely.
A fire room as CCT.
Yeah.
If we're going to spend all this money down.
Don't disagree at all. Yeah.
Chief Officer.
I was going to just say on that, because we had a report, didn't we, from the police, the crime reduction team or prevention team, and I've got a meeting on Friday morning, and the new sergeant and I are going over to the city CCTV, and they're responsible for mobile and temporary CCTV installation. And the chap there is going to discuss with us the potential for other options in that area. So if we can't enhance the existing district council system, then we'll look to seek funding for either mobile or temporary provision down there, which is separate to the district council system.
Councillor Rogers.
Yeah, the antisocial behaviour down there isn't as bad as it was because the Victoria Centre has now got a good CCTV system and the police have acted on it.
Do so you've got a proposer and a seconder that we move forward with this.
So can we have a show of hands to support that?
Qualify. What proposal was it?
Yeah.
I'd like to reiterate was that we crack on with the arts projects with Mr. Hardacre's project of doing the bench and the tiles. That was the proposal. The rest of the stuff was kind of future agenda items in terms of showing the grant scheme and doing the kind of spur link. But the actual proposal, according to this agenda item, is to crack on with the industrial bench, for want of a better description.
While the chief officer pursues additional funding avenues.
Yeah.
So all in favour?
Chair, just point of clarification, the only caveat I would have on that, because I fully support that, is this caveat about the fact that we did make clear that CCTV provision would need to be put down there before we put significant investment in it. That doesn't stop the work and getting it ready.
Well, we can get it ready, it doesn't have to be installed.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. It's just a sequencing thing.
It's going to take months, sorry, but it's going to take months to make the tiles that then have to go onto the bench. So that process, that month's worth of like 6 months plus, because he's got to go and engage with these people first. That's a good 6 months work before even getting to anywhere where it's going to actually be installed.
May I seek a point of clarification, please? What procedure will there be to ensure that the aims of the job, which was basically to reflect other occupational activities, is not forgotten? I realise it is the idea was, and has been welcomed, for young people to be involved. No problems there, so long as we don't lose sight of that aim. And what procedure will there be to ensure that the aim has been met before tiles are made, please?
So if the vote is a positive vote, I'll ask Philip, I'll email him to say we'd like to start to think about how you want to make this work, and I'll be very clear based on those discussions months and years ago about the other industries in our town, and that actually we have a memorial for mining at the frontage of the town hall, and that's not to be the focus of this particular installation. So I'll be really clear with him about that.
That's okay, it's been covered.
But I suggest we put an agenda item on the young people's agenda, just highlighting this so we get a connection with the school.
Good point, very good point.
Are we happy? So are we happy with Jill's proposal that was seconded and caveated to move forward with this project and have further discussions with Phil Hardacre to explore potential funding options and to tie it all in with the CCTV discussions down at Station Road? All those in favour? Brilliant, thank you. So item 34 is to consider website and social media usage data attached, which is on the paper agenda. Paper ones. It's a blue table. And over to the Foster or to the Events and Partners. So you both think to.
We've had a little play, for want of a better phrase. We haven't given you one of these before since we've had a number of social media platforms. So these figures are just for the month of September. Obviously, Facebook is where we get most of our interaction. And you'll see there that the most positive posts during September were the Classic Vehicle Show and when we put out kind of save the date for the Christmas light switch on. The Google business page information is the number of people in September who went onto our website looking for something specific. Obviously the reach there, well, you can see, if anyone's got any questions, I don't need to talk through it necessarily, do I? Unless anyone's got any particular questions, or it's the first time we've done something like this for you. So we can amend and, do whatever.
Just for accuracy, we're now X, aren't we? Not Twitter.
Yeah.
The artist formerly known as Twitter.
X, formerly known as Twitter.
Yeah, we don't like that.
Council said.
That we've got a YouTube channel and we've got, I think it says 12 subscribers, which is a start. But have we got, are you getting paid for advertising and stuff yet? Are we up there with thousands?
Have you been
Is that the second? Is that
been invited to people dancing, yeah?
How many were it? Yeah.
Yes.
Sarah Hayden doing the salsa.
That might get.
I think it's part of that.
No, we're saying that it's invited to be like a contestant. He's so famous as the chair.
I would like to ask a YouTube series, a day in the life of Councillor Rogers and Councillor Yates, and the muddy boots down the pool.
No,
The childhood little gag.
that's where it joins in there.
Even like a bad idea because we no, well, maybe if you don't want to take part.
Oh, yeah.
But just a bit of a snippet of the stuff that councillors get up to, maybe a bit of a photo. Probably not a bad idea.
It's not Councillor Rogers.
No.
None of these up to.
Has anyone got any further comments regards the social media figures?
Please, if I can, Jess, it's very positive, and certainly the reach on things like Facebook. You're nearly 20,000 hits on it, so yeah, very positive.
It remains a way of engaging with people, doesn't it? It doesn't stop us thinking about, adverts in the Chronicle and information in the, Borough Times and that kind of thing. We obviously get different people in different ways, but it's a growing and quite positive way of interacting.
And it's got that many people to follow.
Yeah, and as Jodie says, it's quite positive to have that many people as a town council. We're not social influencers and doing, that kind of thing. Oh, I don't think it's cool.
Being coy.
Yes, I don't think it's cool from a town council. It's quite good to have that, people locally. There's not, town councils near us don't have that level of engagement via social media. So it is really positive, and we are giggling about it, but we are quite pleased. We've been trying quite hard to grow that. So it's just, like I say, it's something we haven't given to you before, but I think it's quite useful because, you know, every month you see, you know, £6 here and £12 there for a little boost of a post. And it doesn't, you know, it doesn't cost a lot of money to do that. We don't do it on every post, obviously. But actually the reach that you get for your 12 quid or whatever is pretty good.
Councillor Sal. We're doing a piece of work at some point, maybe a month in the year, where every town council event, so whether, you know, it's a dementia cinema or whatever, you have a little bit of a kind of questionnaire or a little sheet at the beginning where you go, how did you hear about this event? And just find out where the resources that people are using, and then you can choose where to put the focus, can't you? Is it a chronicle advert, or is it a leaflet, or is it social media? It might just give us a nice idea of where people are finding their information from. God.
Thank you, Chair. I mean, I think this is very useful. It's good to see this information. Can I suggest or request that perhaps we have this on a quarterly basis? I think monthly is probably a bit too frequent, but I think a quarterly basis to see how things are going. So perhaps in December we see the September, October, November quarter and see how that stacks up in the context, particularly of the key events that have been held in that period. Okay.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We could definitely come up with something like that. I suppose you'll then take a view as to how useful that is. You know, if there's no point me presenting you with a load of data if actually it doesn't change the way you use that and the way we work. So I think, yes, it's very positive to have that snapshot and, you know, take a view as to whether you want it that often or not. But absolutely, it's possible.
Do we have a specific social media budget?
We used to have an advertising budget, but I think we got rid of that. So we have event specific budgets and the advertising will come out. So we've got a dementia budget and we've got a Christmas budget and that kind of stuff.
So moving on then to item number 35, to receive an update on shared prosperity fund application.
Thank you. So I just want to run through the ones that I have engaged with the team at the District Council about. So there is a new officer at the District Council and he's taken over, I think, a principal regeneration officer role. And I had submitted to him again the costs that we had incurred with regards to the planning at the town hall frontage. And there'd been some confusion there and we agreed that we would have a conversation about that. I don't think he'd potentially had the best handover notes with regards to that. So I spoke to him on Friday afternoon and I said, we have a significant number of projects in Biddulph that are good to go. And I'd like to know from him, which ones are goers and what you want me to work on a bit more detail on it and that sort of thing. So I have submitted to him, I'll run through the ones that I've done. The invoices that we received for the town hall frontage projects. I have sent him all the information with regards to the Amy work that we did for town centre pedestrianisation. I've sent him the information about the Station Road sculpture. Sent him the information about the visitor centre, how we wanted to increase footfall, create a renewable energy hub. I have, we had a previous discussion at Recreation Immunities about this idea of a Trent Valley Way. They've got some money, excuse me, for footpaths that I understand they need to spend quite quickly. Now, I don't know as yet what quite quickly is, and I don't know how much the money is, but I did think if the idea of a Trent Valley Way was something that we wanted to work up, this could potentially be a good use for that money. I have submitted the actual schedule of works for the town hall frontage, so that's the information that we had off the quantity surveyor. So I've sent the planning reference and the pictures for the town hall frontage. And then he's starting now this week to come back to me with a few questions about some of those projects. So I've emphasised through all the discussions that I've had that the town council is able to deliver these and we can meet the timescales. I think there's quite a lot of money that needs to be spent. And I've kind of lobbied to help them with that. So I think that that includes all the projects we've talked about so far. We've obviously had an allocation for older people's work, which we'll talk a little bit more about in a minute. We've had an allocation for a kind of star turn at an event next year, which so I've filled in all the due diligence paperwork for that. So we've had 2 allocations and I've sent in probably 6 more.
Councillor Yates and Councillor Garvey.
Yes, a couple of things. There is one of the issues with the UK Shared Prosperity Fund is that there's a lot of very precise criteria. It's not like a pot which is sort of just, you know, you can put things into, so you have to sort of try and fit. But there is an innovation one, and I think as we're hopefully coming to a conclusion on the extension of the lease on the Biddulph Grange Visitor Centre, then I think there's an awful lot of money there, which I think they're going to struggle to get applications for because people don't understand it. And we could really hammer home some of the things required on the sort of renewable centre and getting the roof replaced. You know, put it in as part of the quotation to get solar panels on that roof. There's actually the roof replaced and insulated at the same time, and that does tick a couple of boxes because there's one which is on energy saving and efficiency and all that lot. So I think that's fair. The other thing is that the Trent Valley Way is something which has been promoted very much by the Staffordshire Wildlife Trust, and their focus is on the Trent as it matures through Stone and going up towards East Staffordshire because it's quite a significant river there. But there's no reason why we shouldn't, as the head of the Trent, be involved in that. And obviously it gives us an opportunity to work potentially with the county council on, dare I say, Greenway Bank, technically in Brown Edge. But it does allow us to have that conversation because there are a lot of very tired footpaths and very tired styles and things through Greenway Bank, which is a significant part of the head of the Trent. But I think you would need some kind of cooperation with landowners if you are doing like information boards and things. And I know that the Staffordshire Wildlife Trust are looking at the this Trent pathway as a way of increasing biodiversity, making sure that you know, try to get a designated segregated footpath which has got hedgerow creation and biodiversity creation along it, which again ticks a lot of boxes. So you would need to get the cooperation of the landowners along the way. But I would suggest that where the footpaths are positioned, especially the ones which do follow the Trent, then they are probably pretty much unproductive farmland anyway. And I'm sure the owners of that farmland would probably qualify for biodiversity credits from the government. So I think there's a chance of win-win-wins, but it does need a little bit of research because when you're talking to landowners, you need to have, you know, a good rationale for why, you know, you're effectively taking some land out of productivity or the potential taking of land out of productivity.
So I've planned out a potential route from the head of the Trent down to Knipsley Pool, essentially, because that's kind of the edge of our bit. And obviously we've got to use, as things stand, unless we're going to create new footpaths, we need to be using those footpaths on the definitive map. Some of which, so one of them is to walk down Lodge Barn Road. So that's on the definitive map. That actually wouldn't need much work for us. What would need, I think, the most work in that project is around the well itself, the head of the Trent. And I think it's kind of management of styles, you know, tidying up footpaths and things like that, as well as, you know, signage and that kind of thing. So there's a reasonably easy route, albeit I need to get my wellies on and go and suss that out. But I have said, and it is quite straightforward for us to engage landowners and just say, this is what we want to do. This is a footpath that runs through your land. We plan to do it to that. And I've said that we would be happy to engage with that. I honestly don't know what the timescales are for this. They talks about needing to spend some money quite quickly and wanting to enhance footpaths. I mean, if it's got to be done by the end of the month, it's a no-go, is it? But if actually it needs doing by the end of the year or the end of the financial year, then I think that's perfectly achievable. But I await. Presented it as an option.
So that.
Thank you, Chair. Actually, 2 points have now come up. The first one was with my district council hat on as the chair of the committee that is responsible looks after the shared prosperity fund. One of the key actions that came out of the last meeting was for better signposting for applicants, and I'd therefore like to have a conversation and get some feedback on the ease of use of it from an applicant's point of view. If I could have that conversation with the chief officer at some point. It was in terms of the welly walking, the footpath. Then if you can make us aware of what when you're planning on doing that, please join you.
Always.
So that's,
Yeah, thank you. I'm still not clear on this process, this new officer we've got. Is this officer helping people with their bids?
Yeah.
Or are they a screening blockage, for want of a better word, that says this bid goes forward to the board and this bid doesn't? If that's sort of the case, I think it's worrying that an officer's making a decision on these bids and not the board making an officer on bids. So I'd like clarification on that one. But I'm really pleased that we've now got the rest of the town hall frontage actually in there now, and hopefully we can get some answers back fairly quickly so we can get going on.
Probably provide some clarification on that, but it would be interesting to the chief officer has a view on that in terms of her experience of it. But from a committee's recommendation point of view, the purpose was that person would be a facilitator to enable and support people, almost like not quite the hand holding, but that sort of thing, to essentially enable people easier access to the funding and provide a point of contact, not as a screening filtering process to determine what goes on to the committee, onto the board. Sorry.
I think if I may, there's two things on that. That speaking to David, that was absolutely my impression rather. He seemed as though he was quite happy. Well, that was the purpose of our conversation, so that he would not screen the things that we're putting forward, but say, yes, that sounds positive. I'll take a greater look at that. That sounds like something that would be, this element of that project would fit, the objectives. That's. But what I did say to him is, up until this point, it's been really unclear what would and wouldn't, what you would and wouldn't consider, and where it wouldn't, what was the process. You put an application in, you hear nothing, somehow you're on a reserve list and then you're not on a reserve list, and the whole process has been really challenging. And I was quite clear with him that I said, actually, if these are projects that you won't fund through the UK Shared Prosperity Fund, then I won't put in a formal bid and a formal application, because it's an absolute waste of my time.
Yeah.
So, and the scoring, I think, has been a challenge, and this is the conversation that we've had previously, because unless you've filled in these things before, and you know that everything has to have an environmental benefit, then you might put, no, this particular project doesn't have an environmental benefit. But actually, if you know that means you get zero. Councillor Yates and I were talking about this before. If you get a zero for not saying it's got an environmental benefit, then you're not taken forward. But actually, you might not necessarily know that you had to kind of tick those boxes. So I think the whole process has been challenging, but I felt quite positive after Friday that actually we'd got somebody who was kind of moving it forward.
If I can, Chair, through the chair.
1 second, just to bring Councillor Rogers in.
He's on the same subject. I just want to deviate very slightly, but for Councillor.
Okay, thank you. It was the intention of the new administration at Leek that this process would become more user-friendly, more applicant-friendly. The officer concerned was actually at the meeting with the head of regeneration, and it was taking very positive steps forward. So it's good to hear that the recommendations of that committee have been taken on, and that is the intention going forward. And I think that's hopefully, there's a lot of money there to spend, and we want to make sure as a district, as a committee of the district council, that money is spent around as quickly, well, all of it's spent if we can in the district to the benefit of the different areas of the district.
Yeah, just on the Trent Head well, many years ago we tried to do something with that, and the current landowner then put so many stumbling blocks in the way as we give up basically. Hopefully with the new owner of the land, we'll have a better working relationship. We need to speak to him to start with before we go first into it.
Who is?
I'm presuming it's Chris Rhodes owns it now.
I think it's Chris and
I know Chris owns the rest of the area.
Roads
I think he owns that field as well.
relationship with them.
Make sure.
Just avoid discussing
Yeah.
landowners.
Yeah.
So if we can move on now to item number 36.
Some clarification on this. Is this a study on whether old people are feasible?
I haven't even.
Yeah.
To receive an update on.
On the cost of being an old person.
Study work.
Thank you. So, obviously, this is kind of linked to the previous item in terms of we put in an application to complete an old people's housing needs survey, which came off the back of some work that we've done through the neighbourhood plan and wanting to look at the options for accommodation for all the people in the town and look at the support needs that were in place and were needed based on our kind of Biddulph Works Together work. The officer actually I spoke to also didn't understand why the housing needs element of that had been removed, but it has. So now we are tasked with doing an older people's feasibility study, which we are embracing, we are. And Jodie and I have been doing some work on this in conjunction with the public health team at the county council, because they have been doing quite a lot of work on living well and healthy ageing. So that's quite an important agenda for them at the county level. So we've said this is a piece of work we're going to do across Biddulph, and we are going to ask older people some questions, and we're going to do that in a number of ways. So what we're proposing to use the funding for is at the start of December, we will essentially book rooms in pubs. We'll book rooms in pubs and provide food to people.
Yeah,
to eat.
How many times can each individual old person be interviewed?
So there is a pub in most areas in Biddulph. So we've got the Staffordshire North and the Talbot, and the on Biddulph Moor, the Rose and Crown. So we'll try and have an event in each pub. We'll provide some food, and we will go and we will talk to people within the community. We will have a formal questionnaire, albeit it won't be too onerous, we hope, which will ask about their current needs, aspirations, their current experiences. We will do that in a number of ways. And what's quite important for us and the team at the county is to provide the opportunity for people to tell us their stories and for us to document them in a way that makes their situation clear and helps people to understand what they find themselves in. So we'll have some data in terms of X number of people completed some work for us and they were this age and that kind of thing. Also, we'll have some really positive and potentially negative stories about the provision that's available in the town. And that will then help us to write what we think we need based on that, what older people think we need in the town in terms of what support they've got, whether that be from us or health services or any other agency in the town. It'll give us a really positive picture of where we're up to. So that's the part.
Yeah, it sounds like I'm being facetious, but I'm not. But thinking about my own mother here, who is an 87-year-old Methodist mother, you're going to have to think of something outside of pubs as well.
Yeah.
And she has many of her followings. I mean, there's so many groups that she does anyway that all take place at Victoria Centre, choirs and such like, with a group of sort of septa and octogenarians throughout. And so I'm just thinking there needs to be an alternative to the pub as well.
Yeah, no, I should have said that. I think really what we wanted to do was get into the wards, which is why the pub had been a decent option for people who perhaps don't leave the vicinity of their home very often. But I think, we've got, and we host quite a number of the older people's groups within this building anyway. So we need to go on tour, and that's what we want to spend our time on.
That's why you've got a captive audience.
Yes.
Then Captain Salt.
Yes, I appreciate, the primary thing is the questionnaire and speaking to them and getting the information, but it also gives an opportunity to actually promote other council services for them as well. And one of the things which the new administration at St Albans is doing is reviewing the success or otherwise of the Disability Facilities Grant. And we really want to start promoting that and finding better routes to people who could be eligible, who perhaps do not know they're necessarily eligible, and that is extremely important. It has to go through a particular procedure for people to be assessed and get, but we want a mechanism for starting that pathway so that people get the improvements which they need, and we've certainly got plenty of funding which we want to direct to do that, and that'll be a big aim over the next couple of months to get that through. Absolutely, we're really pushing that at the moment.
In regards to that, is there somebody within a team who would come and train people within this building? Because a number of people who come through our door who could be potential.
Absolutely, yes, we'll make sure that happens.
And if it's just a half-hour session, this is what we're looking for. This is how you do it. This is the process. Or even if there's an existing PowerPoint in that, because we're always looking for training opportunities for the town hall here. So we can signpost as well as anyone.
What we're looking is to develop a range of referrers. You know, we won't be a range of assessors, but a range of referrers. If we think there's an issue or whatever, that will be referred. It goes to the assessment team, they that come out and then do a home assessment. Yeah. But the one thing which is always thought, and it comes the same as home insulation grants and things, is that councils, generally speaking, are embedded within their community, and they know every councillor will know, some more than others, will know a handful or a multitude of people who would probably benefit from whatever initiative is going through. So the more we can get that communication through, and obviously town and parish council certainly like this one with your team, Sarah, then again, you're a conduit for actually the referrals. That doesn't guarantee that they do it, but it does mean they get into the process, the assessment is done, and then hopefully can get delivered. But it's the referrals which we are lacking at this moment in time.
If I may, that fits in very nicely with the ethos we've tried to create anyway, doesn't it? You know, we are one of the county's community help points. So actually, you know, periodically we get referrals from the county and they say there's a person who's approached us in Biddulph, they've got this range of issues. It's another something in our suite of solutions, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
So,
Sorry,
Councillor Water. It was Councillor Salt first, then yourself. Apologies.
Adrian was mid-flow, so off you go.
Hello, short and sweet this.
This is age.
Short and sweet this. I was very happy to hear Councillor Parks' reservations about the exclusive use of public houses, but for a different reason. And that is, to the best of my knowledge, there isn't a single public house in Biddulph South Ward. There are licensed premises, aren't there, with the club at Neighbourhood?
Absolutely good work.
But thought I'd just make that in a light-hearted way.
I always think about the gardeners as being in the south, but it's not, it's the west.
Councillor Salt.
My concern is, how are we going to speak to the older people that will not leave their homes, whose voice we also need to hear? So have a little thought in that one of our officers could base themselves in the GP surgery, and, you know, for one day, once a month, for the next couple of months, for a few hours, and get those questionnaires issues. Because if anybody's going to leave the home, they're going to leave the home to go to the GP appointment. And I think that's where you might capture the most vulnerable people, because for a whole variety of reasons, you will not get people coming to a pub no matter what you promise. But we still need to hear their views.
Yeah, agreed.
Are we having any flu vaccination clinics?
They're almost done.
Are they? I was going to say that would be an ideal.
Yeah.
Almost done.
Jabba 2 they've been doing for ages now.
Yeah, I suppose really, I know it's just to receive an update, but does that feel all right?
So the next item, number 37, would be to agree a date for the next business network breakfast. Councillor Salts.
I'm just going to put it out there that I had about 5 people contact me saying, I can't make a morning, I've got to take my kids to school. Can it be an afternoon? And I know we tried it in an afternoon, and that wasn't, some people couldn't come in an afternoon for various reasons. So I'm just wondering if we could either and make it an afternoon one and not alternate. I think we've talked about that in the past. Or certainly, I know we're going to agree a date and I'm sure you've got some dates in mind, but give it about 3 months notice so that people have got ample opportunity to rearrange their lives so that they, if they really wanted to attend, they could. Just saying.
So would we want to be looking before Christmas? Or would we be looking into the new year? Do you think there is too much, if we were to look to give ample notice, that would be, you know, that'd be looking at December, in which that everyone has got stuff on in December? Or would we look at the quieter months in January, for example, where that might be, people might have more free available time, and possibly a quieter month for businesses anyway, where they might want to network? Yeah, traders are more, they're busier in December, aren't they? But quieter in January. Are we happy for Sarah and Jodie to look at a date in January which fits in with existing bookings? Yeah, I'll do that. Yeah. So just for the next portion of the meeting, we are going to go into confidential. So for the viewers on YouTube, this section of the meeting is to the exclusion of the public in accordance with the Public Bodies Admissions to Meeting Act 1960, Section 1. The council is to determine which items, if any, should be taken with the public excluded. So thank you very much for watching on YouTube, and we'll now go into confidential.